Good morning, Neo fam. It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is Saturday, 10:26 a.m. It is December 27th. It's just a couple days past Christmas. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful holidays. For some of you, your holidays are still going. For some of you, it's finished. And for some of you guys, probably never even celebrated it. So for those that do celebrated it, happy, belated Merry Christmas and holidays. I hope it was great. Quick story time before we dive in and begin. I've had some time to actually have some big family dinners with turkey and pumpkin pie and ice cream. It was great. Definitely stepping out of my comfort zone for, eating out, like eating a little more unhealthier. But you know what? You got to live a little. And I typically save my cheat meals for days like this. And outside of the cheat meals, I also will save those days where when we're in the holidays, I'll make an excuse not to kind of go for a walk, spend a little bit extra time to spend time with family. Having said that, before I begin, also, there's a couple other things I want to address. I'm going to try and keep this video as short as possible. I know for some people the videos are too long. For those that think the videos are too long, or maybe you're just used to watching other YouTubers who make like 10-minute videos that are like really concise and to the point, just realize a lot of those people, they're clipping and editing it. I don't have time to do that. You get your raw, unedited. I'm not editing. I'm not clipping. I'm not cutting it. I'm just talking straight. And that is hard. I mean, it's probably harder to edit it, but I just don't have the time to edit it. So I apologize. You get what you get. But I'm not like clipping it together. I'm not scripting it. You're just getting it right off the top of my head as to what I'm thinking, actually, what I'm saying. A couple other comments. I haven't even had time to even go down and respond to a lot of people on my YouTube comments, but I've been reading them and I appreciate all of them. One guy asked me to cover, let's see if I can find it. I think it was called Tennyson. Probably won't cover it because I don't even know how to spell it. But it was another like really popular Chinese stock. Somebody in the comment section will probably comment it below, but it starts with a T. It's like a tech company. I think it's called I don't remember. I apologize. I'd have to go back. Someone else asked me, can you cover PayPal? Because it's in my watch list. Yeah, I will probably quickly take a quick peek at PayPal for those that are in the play. But the way we normally do things here, for those that are watching, we cover NIO, Baidu, JD, Kweb. Then we cover the Seng index, and then we cover the US dollar. We try and cover all of that as quick as we can. Usually the first half of the video is NIO, the last half is everything else. So I'll try and jump right in. If you missed my last week's video, definitely check it out. We're going to try and cover kind of what happened last week. And if you're making a big, like if you're new here, and if you haven't already heard this, but nothing that I say here should be financial advice, and if you're making a big financial decision, do your own research, do your own due diligence. I'm just a guy who loves the stock and sharing my thoughts as to where I see the stock going. And if you're also new here, we do things differently by you looking at the velocity to try and find some divergences. Let's jump right in. NIO is trading at $5.10 just this past Friday. It's almost looking like it's bottoming here just from looking at the pricing, and it's kind of wanting to lift up. It looked like it got that gap up on Friday. Now, if you missed my last week's video, oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Wow. I love this. I'm looking at this for the first time, you guys, here on the daily. Wow. That is beautiful. And what I'm highlighting here is a higher low on that daily. Beautiful. You love to see that. So we're getting a higher low and a higher high. Came down. Higher high. Now, let me tell you something here. If you missed my last video, and I explained this very clearly, what makes NIO a very interesting, and it's funny because we just passed Christmas. And one of my first predictions was it was going to be around Christmas that we were going to see. I think I did this. So I'm jumping around here, but it's relevant. I think I did something like, top to bottom, right around the new year. So we run, and the thesis is, okay, if we run for 86 days. We pull back for 86 days before it's ready to go. It's kind of like a cycle. As you can imagine, you can kind of see it like this. It comes up, comes down, and then you're going to kind of get that up cycle. Now, there's a reason why this is very, very significant for NIO and very bullish for NIO, because we could actually very well potentially have the bottom actually here. You see this right here? Beautiful. Higher low on the daily. And why that's significant, and I've explained this in my last week's video, is we go to the weekly time frame. Now, we're just touching below the midline, but we're above the 200-day moving average. And this weekly setup is bullish. We have an uptrend on the velocity. We have higher lows, higher highs, and we're trying to get a higher low here. And the thesis was this will not curl back up until we get that higher low on the daily. Now, just looking at the weekly candle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weekly candle. On the 8th one, we're getting a little bit of green. Something's happening here, guys. In fact, for the past 3 weeks, we've been in like this tight range, almost like building out a base. Now you go to the 24-hour time frame. Look at that. And remember, stocks always revert to their mean reversion. Even when they've been down for a long time, you're going to get that bounce that's going to come up. Take a look. This thing has been down and beat down 41%, and now we're getting some lift. Now we're showing some positive signs. So here's how this works from a technical perspective. Because we have a higher low and a long signal on the 24-hour time frame, how we move from this. And now there's another signal that I'm watching, and it's this. It's this trend line, which hasn't broken, but it's okay. This is good. Very, very good. Let's assume, okay, on the daily, it says go long here. That means when the daily starts flipping bullish, every single time frame, 12, 8, 4, 2, and 1 start to look bullish. And so you want to start looking for an entry on NIO. Like if you're not already looking at NIO closely, you better start paying attention. It's looking good. Now, if you go into the 4 hours, now what you would want, notice that this green line, I want to tell you this significance. This green line was the higher low on the daily. Now, what we want to do is we want to go long. Like if you wanted to go long or look for that buy signal, you want to go for that next buy signal on the 4 hours. And how do you go long? Well, to go long on the buy signal, we kind of want to see it give you a signal to go long here. Now, it did give you a higher high and a higher low. Now, I've talked about this, and this is what I think is going to happen. Doesn't have to, but I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get one last drop into that, and it'll dip below our 200-day moving average. Hang on, let me change that to white so this makes sense. Oh, I did that in reverse. I should have kept it yellow, and I should have moved this to white. And what we're hoping for, and I'll actually draw it a little bit differently, because to get long on the 4 hours, you kind of want to still see it give you a pullback on that 4 hours, because it hasn't really on the velocity given you a pullback. So you want it to pull back a bit, and you want it to do something like that, okay? Just something like that. And so what you would want to do is you'd be like, oh yeah, like it's going to freaking explode once you get this. But first, right now, what I think is happening, it's doing like this slow grind up. And I think you can maybe even see it touch, I think like 530 or something. And I'm not pulling that number out of my head. It's a major Fibonacci point. I will explain that. And what would actually happen here to our velocities, it would build a higher low, and then you would go long. Now, going long here, yeah, you could say, okay, it's continuation. You got a higher low. Technically, this is a long signal on that 4 hour. You could have gone long, and it could be continuation actually on the 4 hours. But to me, this is one extended move. This sequence on the 4 hour time frame, I'll circle it. See what I circled? This whole thing was one extended move, and it's finishing out. It's finishing up this move. I think what you would likely get is you would get like maybe a push next week above that, and you would get that one quick drop, and it goes. Like we're so close to this thing running like 100%. But I'm not going to rule out the fact that this thing will touch like 530. It'll take the lows again around 490. Potentially you get like some gap fill down here, like a V-shaped bounce, something like this. That would be perfect. I mean, it wouldn't be perfect, but it would give a lot of bulls who are looking to get in one last time that chance. And to me, from a technical perspective, it just makes a lot of sense. And what that would look like, by the way, on the daily, let me remove this. It would just look like a little pivot. Another little pivot, and it would be going. A little pullback. It's still maintaining this uptrend. The only thing that I would say is it might do this and then build your higher low, which would give you that last drop. And oftentimes, I'm telling you, oftentimes when you kind of see things steady is when the floor kind of, oh, it's ready to go. Boom, they manipulate it down, then they go. It's called the accumulation, manipulation, markup. That's like what you'll see from a lot of like people talk about that. So I could see it happening from a velocity perspective because we still haven't gotten a higher low on the 200-day moving average. And if we go to the hourly, like if we're really trying to look good, it looks good. Like this looks good. We got higher lows. It's making higher highs. It's looking good. It's looking very, very, very good. I'm going to need this. Remember I said 530 earlier? I'm going to draw this out for you. Top to bottom. Logarithmic. Okay. Did I do that right? Where did I get 530 from? Ah, I remember now. I think it was from here. Let's see. I mean, we can just do it like that. There we go. So this is where I got 530 from. If we measured this 40% drop from $8.03 all the way down to $4.73, what you would expect is at the very least a retest. Even if this was going to give you a lower high and the run was done, which I don't think it is. I think it's going to be something insane. You would expect to run at least up into $6.68, bare minimum. That's your golden pocket. And that would be like, if the run was done, you would get a mini rally and it would come way down lower. If it were done. I don't think it's done. I think it's I don't think it's going to do that. But this is a bare minimum, essentially. Like a worst case scenario is you're going to at least see 668. Now, this is the price, $5.36 is the very first Fibonacci point. And it looks short term, ready to go higher. Test $5.36. Possibly one last sweep down low here at 473. Maybe just take below that. I mean, like you could even see like something silly where it just gaps down. Oh my God, it gapped down to 450 and it goes. Like that's how close we are. Now, I'm going to show you something. Robinhood. We love to look at Robinhood this is very, very similar. Now, notice Robinhood's trading at 117. It hit as high as 153. If you don't already know what Robinhood is, Robinhood, I mean, it doesn't deserve any introductions. You guys should know what that is. It's one of the biggest trading stocks in North America. Take a look. What happened here? It kind of built out this base and it gave you one last drop. And I think this is where we are. Hang on. Why is this looking silly? 0.382. Okay, that's interesting. Kind of almost makes me think. Okay, so this is Robinhood. Bottomed here on the 50% Fibonacci. This is right before it went parabolic. It created this cup and handle, by the way. Okay, I mean, you can even see this mini cup and handle if you want. Hit the 50%, retested the 382, came back down, 1050, and then it went. Now we go back to NIO, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of using it as a point of reference as like, hey, this might actually be playing out here because it's also cup and handle. Okay. So I got 536, but if I'm actually being a little bit more on the bullish side, it's 550 actually. Let's see, did I do that right? Top to bottom, 493. You love to see this thing trading above. I think I did that right. So you could see this, we get this rally into 553, which is the 382, which is exactly what, and again, Robinhood did. Where is it? Right up into the 382. And then back down one more time to the 0.5, which would honestly line up with my velocity as well. So confluence, we always try and find confluence to support our thesis. So you would get, and I can see short term, it looks good. So perhaps next week and leading into January, we can see another rally here into 8%. It would be like 552. So you would get another 8% upside into 550, which would be tremendous. And it would come down maybe to around 493, which is exactly what Robinhood did. Now you have your base. I mean, it would be classic. Fill that gap here, 482. Potentially, it would come down to 470. And then it goes. And at this point, you have your double bottom, right? And it's... everything's going to start looking so much good. And what would happen here, by the way, is it would look something like this. I drew it up before. But it would look something like this. Let's see. Change that to yellow. So we would get our higher low, essentially, and it would give you a dip, and it'd be like, okay, that's your dip. Bang. It's ready to explode. All the stars are aligning because now the daily's already lined up, which means you got to start looking at the 4 hour. And that 4 hour, you want to look for that next big move. But the 4 hour looks like it's still finishing off this move. It hasn't really finished towards the top. So it could be 550 and then back down. So that's what I'm going with. Next week and the weeks leading into next week, into January, we're going to run up into 550. And then we're going to come down one more time. Now remember, and I'm just going to call myself out, I've called one more drop many, many, many times and gotten it wrong. And right now it's a decent price if you don't want to miss it, because this is it and this is the bottom. You always want to be like putting something in so you don't miss it, okay? I don't want anybody to miss this next big move, because the next big move is going with confidence. I'm telling you with so much confidence. It's going to touch right here, man. And I'm going to be like, I told you so. It's coming here. And there's a reason for this. I've explained it. I don't want to go through it again, as this is going to make my video longer, but we're going to come up here. We're going to come up. We're going to bang that. We're going to kiss it. We're going to touch it and potentially break above it. But this is essentially, and I'll explain it as quick as I can. This is resistance. This is resistance that was left behind that we could see on the velocity. There's our resistance here. And so when we get this velocity break, which is going to come, when this comes, then it's going to come out there. So having said that, while I am sounding very bullish, I don't want to rule out 450. I don't want to rule that out. So if you're like looking to like go crazy, go ham, load the boat, just realize you might even see like 550 and then it comes down one more. That's your last pit stop manipulation zone, and then it goes. I don't want to rule out 450. And there's a reason for that. 450 was like the golden pocket, I believe. Let me see. Is it from top to bottom golden pocket? Actually, top to bottom golden pocket is 424. And there's actually a really major level at 409. And I don't need to actually draw the fibs. I can just draw this line. And you can see right here how this level was like crazy. Okay, so if this thing is going to make a monster move, it's also going to make a monster dip. So that's what I think is going to happen. You may not like to hear that, but that's just how it does. That's how they do it. That's just how stocks move before they go. They give you this final dip, and then it goes. But it looks good short term. I'm aiming for 550, and then maybe medium term, I can see that dip coming in, and that's where you probably want to start to get long. And who knows? If everybody sees what I see, you may not even get that big dip. 550, it might even just make a higher low at 515. And it'll go just because everybody sees the same thing. Everybody's buying it, and they're just buying that dip, and they're not allowing it to go lower. You would need, I think, more of a bigger macro event for the Hang Seng dropping, which is what we're going to look at. So that pretty much wraps up my analysis here on NIO. What we have is brand new is we have a long signal on the daily, which basically means you better start looking to snipe that long on that 4 hour and that 1 hour. But right now the 4 hour, I can see that it's extended quite a bit and hasn't given us that oomph drop. That oomph drop is coming. But I think it's finishing this rally maybe into 550. Then you'll get the big oomph. It's going to get people, it's going to piss people off. It's meant to play on emotions. And what's going to happen is we're going to start forming our higher low on our velocity, which is going to kick things off. On the 200-day moving average, we'll make that higher low. Kind of like that. Right? And I don't want to repeat myself. You guys know that analysis. So there you go. That sums up NIO. Baba on the 24 hours still hasn't given us the higher low. This looks messy. That looks cleaner. And I think I called it out last week. I said there's a possibility that it'll come down into 136. What I see now on the velocity is I see that it made a lower low. It hasn't given us the long signal on the daily. What that means is if you don't have a long signal on the daily, if you're going into any of the shorter time frames, it doesn't matter. That means this thing the daily needs to flip back down. We need to get a pullback on the daily, which is going to make everything bearish. So whatever this rally is doing, it's going to come back down, I think. And then once you get that higher low, then Baba is ready to go. It's not ready yet, which is kind of telling you something. Usually we see Baba and NIO, everything run together. Baba is not ready to go just quite yet. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to speak in certainties. Maybe I'm wrong. But to me, if you want to not take a chance, you want to wait for that higher low to come in. And it hasn't even given us like that dip on the daily. Probably 4 hours is finishing up. Your 4 hours looks great, by the way. Looks actually better than even... The 4 hour setup looks even better than NIO. Because it's already gave you this big dip, and it's making a higher low. But none of that matters because we haven't gotten the higher low yet on the daily. So I'm still going to go with the fact that we might see like that flush, which goes in line with like that last possible flush with everything. We can see 135, 136 may come in for Baba. Baidu. Wow, Baidu looks good. Baidu is by far the best Chinese stock setup. The best. It's already, did it break? No, it didn't break. Didn't break the velocity yet, but it's already making a higher low. You got to, like, you could just see it in the price and you could see it in the velocity. And I talked about it last week being the best setup, and I'm going to talk about it again. I think it's one of the best Chinese name setups right now on my watch list. long on the 24-hour setup. So there's your basically your confirmed long setup. 4 hours, you're looking for that next big drop, and you might have already gotten it. I could see just Baba just going. Like, look at this. It's already dropped. It's already giving you that drop here. It's making a higher low. I could already just see that. Like, you've got a long signal here forming on the 4 hour. Baba is so, or not Baba, Baidu. If I was calling Baidu Baba, I apologize. They're similar. I meant to say Baidu. Baidu looks really good from a technical setup. So good. And it's been doing that for a while now. It's just been looking better than the rest. And I think it's eventually going to give you that really, really big move. JD, 24 hours, higher low. That is a long setup on JD right here. Whoa. Whoa. Look at that. Higher low. And it didn't even touch the descending support here. That's a long setup on the daily. But you still want it to come back lower and give you the dip on the 4 hour time frame. And it looks to be forming a bear flag, actually, when I look at it from both the velocity and everything here. This, to me, looks like it's forming like this bear flag here, which isn't going to be bearish long term. But I think what's going to happen is it's finishing, running. You get that one more last dip. Off it goes. JD is going to look very, very good. I think we're going to eventually see this come down. It'll give you another setup. We're going to go long. It's not quite as good as Baidu, but the setup looks better than Baba, JD, surprisingly, on the 24-hour time frame. Kweb, okay. Kweb's looking not so good because two reasons. Number one, the 200-day moving average. Kweb is probably the worst one, and it used to be. And on the weekly, it still looks great, but it's struggling here. And there might be potentially, I don't know, it might need a little bit more time. I could see the 200-day moving average made a lower low. I could see the velocity made a lower low here. So we need that higher low still on the Kweb, which we haven't gotten that yet on Kweb. So Kweb and Baba are the only names on the Chinese names that haven't given us the higher low yet. And now it's because it's been going so much lower, we're going to get a lower low on the 200-day move. Now, it's not the end of the world, but when you get a lower low on that 200-day moving average, did it make a lower low here? It did. So it's not the end of the world, but you do need it to make a higher low. So you need this thing to kind of form a base. And then Kweb just exploded. So it matters and it doesn't really matter. So we'll have to, let's see, the weekly real quick. And this is the part that I remember seeing last time that concerned me, is that it made a lower low on the weekly here. That's for the first time you're getting weakness on Kweb since like the bottom here. And what that means is worst case scenario, if this does run for Kweb, if you're a Kweb bull, maybe it runs with the rest of China, but it only gives you a lower high. And then it maybe comes a bit lower, or does this. I mean, I'm not really following Kweb super deep, but this is something that kind of makes me think, ugh, yuck. I don't really like seeing that it made a lower low. Whereas you look at NIO, we're still making higher lows. Even Baba's still making higher lows, potentially. Baidu, higher lows. And Baidu's already curled up. Like, Baidu looks so good. JD, on the weekly, not so good. But daily, I can see it giving you a Kweb. Yeah, it's decent, but it's giving you some challenges. Now, we'll go to the Hang Seng Index here. "24-hour time frame. You can see it's trying to base here. Okay. That is actually quite nice. What do I like here? So there's a couple things I like, a couple things I don't like. Now, number one, I really don't like that this 200-day moving average is sloping downwards. When you get a downward sloping 200-day moving average, Usually what ends up happening is the following move is a sell-off. So we saw it here. It's how you would describe a counter turnaround. Now we actually have what's called a lower low on the 200-day moving average. Kind of a little bit, not the best look. But what's really good and looks good on the Hang Seng Index is the fact now it's making a higher low. I can kind of draw that trend line. You got a higher low on that daily setup. And so when you go to the 4 hours, oh, so good. Why did I say that? Oof. Why was I so excited? Is it made a higher high here. It's setting up for that higher low. Yeah, we could see a big move forming here. That's your long play right here. So it might be finishing up here. I can see it building a lower high, finishing off that dip, and then moving really high. And that's going to line up with your 24 hours. But you might get a bigger dip than you might expect, actually. Why? Because what that would look like, geez, all these scribbles. Is you would still need that one more move, that one more pullback that would pull back down the 4 hour. And I can see that 4 hour pulling down really low, which would mean the price would come down low. No clear signal, but it does look good on the 24-hour time frame. And on the weekly, are we good on the weekly? Yep. So long as it holds this low, it's building a higher low. It's not perfect, but I'll take it. Look at all these scribbles. Okay, we're just going to leave these scribbles. We're going to move on to the US dollar. US dollar on that weekly, it's actually in an uptrend, by the way, which looks dangerous. You have an uptrend here. It's making a higher high, higher low. Now, the 200-day moving average is lower. The weekly's pulling back, but it's setting up for a higher low. What that means is this weekly, when it's ready to curl back up, will be when the daily curls back up. So is the daily ready to curl back up? So I'm looking here. It's got a good look if you're a Dixie bull. And why is that? It might form a long signal here, potentially, on that daily. It forms a long signal here, and you start seeing the Dixie rise into next week. That would give your continuation into this weekly time frame, and it would move higher, which would likely push it right back over 100. So it's interesting because we are getting some signals here, but it's right at the. If it goes a little bit lower, we'll get a confirmation that this is a counter trend rally, and it'll probably go lower like that, which is what we want as a bull. You want this to go down. Still too soon to say. We're below the midline, so it's nothing crazy, but it's got the potential here to reverse and bottom. Let's see the 4 hours real quick. Yeah, I could see the 4 hours. We're trending still below this line. And until we clearly get above and retest that, it's going to stay put for a little bit. So I think we're okay. We're good. We have time. We're going to look at PayPal. I know someone looked at PayPal. We won't do a deep dive, but I'll look at the weekly time frame. It's interesting because if you were to take this look at PayPal, all-time high was 300. Notice as soon as you got that pullback here, nothing actually happened with PayPal. It's finally given you a break above the weekly. And it's trying to reclaim that, but it's struggling on the weekly time frame. And what does this mean? When you struggle on the weekly time frame and the weekly's still not looking great, there's no point looking at the 24-hour 12, 8, 4, 2, 1. Yes, there's going to be some nice setups in there, and there's going to be some swing where you can make some swing money, and it definitely can do that. But like on that weekly time frame, until I see a close above. Now, there is something interesting that's forming that I can see on PayPal is that it's forming a higher low on the 200-day moving average for the weekly, which will be a nice thing when you finally get that move. But the way I see it is we have lower high, higher low, lower high, lower low on that weekly. So it's struggling here. Someone requested PayPal, so I'm just kind of just looking real quick here. Let's look at the monthly real fast. Interesting. You can see how it made a lower high here, but it's potentially forming a higher low. Yeah, it's not bad, and it's actually at a decent price. You can see it's kind of finally held down on this zone here, and on that 24 hours, it's tricky. It's very tricky because we're trending lower. I don't know. I don't quite like PayPal just yet, but it is if it does give you a big move, I could see it forming a higher low on the daily, which would potentially set up. You would need a big catalyst. Let's put it this way. For NIO to run, I think if it had a big catalyst, then it would go. That's it. I'm not going to do a really deep dive on PayPal. My video is long enough. That's all the time I had for, actually. Bitcoin looks rough, by the way. We're going to look quickly at Bitcoin, but Bitcoin does look bad from a weekly perspective. It's broken below our midline, and it's made a lower low. Like, it looks very weak on the weekly time frame, and it needs a lot of work. And you can see the last time it broke below. Now it did break below here, and it marked the bottom. But until you see a higher low, which happened right over there, you don't really got a confirmation. Like, this thing could continue in this downtrend. It's concerning. The weekly's curling down. 24-hour time frame. You could see it's trying to reverse here, and it's trying to give you a long signal, but the weekly's no good at all. I don't know. I don't want to even do a deep dive. I'm out of time here. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, this wraps up my video here, and I'll do one last wrap up for NIO. I'm calling 550 short term, and then one last drip down to 450. Potentially, I mean, like, the bullish perspective is you hold 490s, and then it just goes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash a thumbs up, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We drop one of these videos once per week. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a nice, wonderful day. Cheers.